relationship. So how does this rejecting your partner's sexual advances affect your relationship? So for me, right, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. If you keep getting rejected, and we're just gonna put it like this, make it a very simple term. 7 days in a week, 24 hours in a day, right? So each day you approach your partner and say, hey, it's time to get it cracking. We need to do something today, right? And on day one, you do it. Day two, you do it. You ask. On day one, you try to ask. On day two, you ask. On day three, you ask. And even 3 of those times, right? You say, no, I don't feel like it. Or, no, I don't think we should. And think about it, though. This is going to be if every scenario in your relationship is good, right? Like you communicated, there's no breakdown in like the much time you spend together. Kids go to bed at a normal time and you still get rejected. Right? That can cause a big impact on the person that's asking for that. Because what's going to end up happening is everybody knows they're going to stop asking. Right? They're going to stop asking. They're going to say, hey, they just said no like 3-4 times in this week. And it's like, okay, this is our pattern, right? Like, this is what we do. And then they're left to their own devices at that point. Which means that it causes a barrier in the relationship because one party libido is higher than the other party's libido may be. And no one is coming up with a solution to how to bridge that gap. So that's the biggest example of how that can affect your relationship is that it could be a divide between you and your partner.
That's the best. that's what it is.
She couldn't even get it out.
What I'm talking about right there.
She couldn't even get it out.
But you explained that well.
Yeah.
That was good.
That is it. Said, yep.
That sums it up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't even know why you brought that out at the beginning because that like summed the whole conversation.
Like what we supposed to say now?
Hey, y'all better one up that. Okay. You better
get bam. I don't know, Nrgy, we can one up it, but I guess we can
one up that one, okay? But that's the thing about this particular topic is that there's a lot more to it. Why the whole rejection thing can really just affect people in relationships, because like I said, sometimes people don't want to have that conversation. And that conversation that I'm talking about is I guess the sexual need conversation, like how much of that you may need from the other person.
Interesting.
Sometimes that's a hard conversation to have.
Up front, or are you talking about like later on down the line?
No, just up front and maybe later on down the line. Think about it though, right? I'm just thinking about it from my terms, right? So if you know that you wake up, you be like, man, my partner look good today, stuff like that. And then you look at your partner and it's like, it's not even on their radar, right? Like it may not even be, on their radar. It's like, sometimes that conversation is just hard to have. Like, it's just like, how do you have that conversation with that person? Because depends on how long you've been in a relationship with that person. Obviously, they know you're not having sex. Obviously, they know that. Right? Like, obviously, they know that that's not happening. So it's like, do you have the conversation, start an argument, right? Or it may be an argument, or just keep it to yourself and not have the conversation.
Oh.
So are you saying it in the sense of you're like y'all are right there in the bed together in the moment, having the conversation with your partner, hoping that they open up and say, okay, or are you talking about just randomly having that conversation?
Let's approach it from both ways. Okay. Let's start both scenarios. Go ahead. Okay.
Which one are we going to do first?
It's your choice. Go ahead. What you got?
So let's just say if it's in the moment. Okay, you may not want to have the actual conversation. I don't see why you wouldn't, but let's just say if you're like, okay, that might actually ruin whatever mood may or may not be there. I would say just get creative, maybe not talk about it, but get creative, like go back to, old faithful foreplay. Hopefully by this time, your partner enough to know what they like, what he or she likes, what kind of gets their mojo going or whatever. And, start there as opposed to wanting to talk about it, because talking about it may not get the other person right. Yeah. I didn't want to say the other two words, but okay.
Okay. You leaned in that last part.
Yeah, because I had to remember where the show is going to be aired.
Now, Nrgy, if they ain't caught on by it now with this show, then you know what?
Okay, well, if it's going to get the lady wet or if it's going to get the guy hard, conversation may not get it done. So you might have to just be a little creative with what they like. So knowing your person's language when it comes to the physical intimacy is going to be important here. If your person likes to be fed maybe fruits or whatever, go to the kitchen and get you some stuff. If they like toys, pull open that drawer. If they want their feet rubbed and that really relaxes them, rub the feet. Just kind of run a bath water with some candle, set the mood. Okay, that's my response on In a Moment. What's y'all's? Less talking and more doing, okay?
In my head, I'm like, where do you go from there, right? Like, where do you go after that? You know what I'm saying? like.
Nah, come on, one up it.
So that prevents you think that'll help prevent the rejection?
I think it increases the chances of something happening.
Okay.
Okay.
I can get down with it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at it for a second. Okay, so what if, right? The reason why a person may be rejecting the other person is because they may be unfulfilled.
Speak that.
And they just simply tired of being
unfulfilled.
There you go. You know what I mean? Like they just tired of that, right? Like,
and that's a conversation.
But you have to figure out how to have that type of conversation, though, because again, that's hard. That's a hard conversation to have.
That is a hard conversation to have when you're unfulfilled in the relationship. It is a hard conversation. Hopefully, they can have that conversation, and it'll go left. It won't go left. To like it's just honestly start like a real argument, whatever. I've known people to break up because they not fulfilled. I'm just being honest. So and then in the rejection, you already got the other partner feeling some type of way. But I think to try to reduce it is that when you're unfulfilled and it's okay, one time of being unfulfilled, you got to give it to them. You know what I'm saying? But if it's on a consistent basis, you gotta pull them to the side. Like I don't know how you can tell it. You gotta just tell it though. You know what I'm saying? Like at that point, I'm not gonna say don't consider their feelings, but don't consider their feelings at the same time. Because you're not being fulfilled yourself. Like, this is a two-way street. We both got to get ours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm with you. I'm just trying to figure out how do you approach that conversation, because I think a lot of times rejection happens because people don't talk about it. Like they don't want to have conflict, centered around that area. Therefore, it's easier to say, no, I'm fine. I don't want to do it. Like, we good. Like, it's easy to do that versus, essentially just talking about it, because they know if they just say, hey, I don't want to do it, then they know that person will just, huff and puff and then just walk away versus trying to argue you down about the fact that, it's not happening.
So the thing about that is, you're not really, even when you're trying to quote unquote avoid the conversation with your partner, knowing you're unfulfilled, it's not helping.
Yeah. At
all. It's not helping, because eventually, you know what I'm saying, even avoiding that conversation causes other reactions. Maybe you lick it, so you might, not intentionally, but you might be like, oh, he or she looking good today. Mm-hmm. Huh. And they been trying to talk to me, huh? I ain't being fulfilled over here. Then you got the little devil on this side. So go ahead, boy. Go get it, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start having them type of conversations. We ain't talk about it when this social media inbox, the messages popping in, and you be like, oh, I seen your picture. I be like, man, let me go look at your picture. So those conversations, even though it might seem like, man, I don't want to put in conflict, but it's gonna be conflict somewhere in the midst if you don't address it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not helping the situation by not addressing it, because you're not okay. That's why you rejected them. That's why it's like, no. Or it could reverse on you. Your partner be like, okay, because you keep telling me no, I'm going over here. Because you don't told me no 5 times. But you had a conversation with me why it's no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. So
yeah.
What if the reason why a person may be rejecting a person is maybe a medical reason?
Insecurity, because sometimes people are insecure about their sex. I find it more in men. I don't know if women are really like that, but men can be very insecure about their sex.
I'm going with I would agree. But I think that insecurity. I don't know how to say it. Insecurity breeds insecurity. Like if a person's insecure, it breeds more insecurity in that particular person. Like it's like a compounding effect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if, say for instance, size matters, right? People always say, hey, the size matters, right? People always talk about that. But it's like some men may be insecure about their particular size, right? So it's like that breeds more insecurity. So if they not performing as well as they think they should in that area, then obviously that's not going to be a talk of the conversation. That's not going to get brought up. Like, it's not. Like, nobody's going to talk about that. And then if you compound that with being rejected, right? Like on the other side, right? Breeds more insecurity there too, right? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like a compounding effect. Like it makes things worse than better. Like kind of like what you're saying every day. It makes things worse and better, but it's like, I think most people get locked into that whole rejection thing more often than not, though. And I think that a lot of the reasons why people get locked into that saying no, especially in that area, is because sometimes the issues that are affecting that area have been talked about before. Like they have been talked about and nothing's been done about them. And I think that some people, they prioritize that aspect of their relationship, that aspect of it, and they don't prioritize the other aspects of their relationship, which is the main parts that need to be fixed.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's the disheartening part right there. That's the sad part.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times people don't really analyze why am I getting rejected, right? Like why am I not getting all of the satisfaction that I should be, you know?
That's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is so true.
What energy? I see something. Is something brewing?
Rolling.
What is that? Like what is that? Like what is that? Like what is that?
Yo, silly. No, so whatever. Yes, I was thinking. Okay. No, because you know how I was thinking that for one of the things that could contribute to having that conversation being difficult for some people is if they're not honest from the beginning. You know how some people will just kind of fake it or say, oh yeah, it was good or I enjoyed it or whatever, and they really didn't. And then after some time has passed by, there's, like you were saying earlier with the scenario of not being fulfilled, and they're kind of getting tired of not being fulfilled. And it's like, dang, like, how do I say something now after all this time when I've been saying, oh yeah, you've been doing good. Like, so be honest, like be honest at the beginning and don't fake the funk, be honest and let the person know like, I don't really like it like that, but let's try to find another way. For me, I'll talk about anything, as long as the other person is emotionally and mentally stable enough to handle the conversation. Because, some people will they'll fly off the handle, especially if you talk about something that's so sensitive to them. But yeah, for me, I'll talk about anything. And because I'm going to come with solutions, I'm going to come with like some creative ways. If I'm one of the people in the relationship that's being unfulfilled, then I'm going to come with saying, hey, okay, let's try this or let's incorporate this or whatever, So therefore, when I do have that conversation with the person, because I will have it, I'm not just going to not, like no one can fix something if they're not aware that it's a problem.
That's true.
That's the standpoint that I would come from. But yeah, don't fake it. And because now you're putting yourself in hot water, because then you're going to make that person have thoughts of like, well, dang, so did she really mean, or did he really mean it when he was saying it, 3 weeks ago that everything was good? So
that's true. That is so true.
Yeah.
It is true. That's very true, right?
It is.
It's in deep thought. Come on, what?
No, it's not deep thought. It's just like a lot of people gonna start thinking about that statement that you just said, and they gonna really just be playing it back in their head. I know it. I know people gonna be thinking about what you just said, right? Like, I wonder if they faking it, right? They telling me
look, they done rejected me 5 times this week, so they been faking it all this time. Let me go ask.
Yeah, let me in.
Then let me tell you how they gonna start the conversation. Well, I was looking at this this podcast.
And they talking
about how people rejecting sex or whatever, and kind of find out they started rejecting, but they was really faking from the beginning. Yeah, so maybe let me ask you this question: Are you? Is that what's going on with you?
Y'all ain't right. Y'all ain't right. What I noticed lately, you ain't been in the mood, I thought it was the new promotion you got, but no, that ain't it.
Then
You've been tired lately.
But you know, the kids, you know, we both been doing the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been going to work out a lot lately too. So you should have some energy. So it's like,
So you just been faking it all this time? Is that my children? No, let me.
Wow. Okay.
Right. Look, and in this moment, it just went left.
It did. Okay. It did. It did. We took that turn. We did. Okay.
And Aphrodite was driving it this time.
Yeah. Just took that turn. Just missed all them speed bumps. Oh. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that again, there's many scenarios why rejection happen. Like in relationships, there's so many different different things different reasons why rejection happens. But I mean, I think that I guess the sexual intimacy part is such a big part of anybody's relationship that I guess that's something for people to consider, which is how often do you really reject your partner, right? Like how often is that? Because most people don't think about it, like especially if you like working a lot or you got kids going on and you got all these things happening. At a point, you don't think about it. You'll think, okay, how many times did I say no? Right? Like how many times did I, do that?
So would that be something you think should be analyzed in a relationship?
I mean, I think that's a core part of any relationship is affection. Mm-hmm. So whether that's hand holding, kissing, hugging, all the stuff plus sex. I mean, that's something that definitely needs to be analyzed in anybody's relationship because, like I said, it's a fundamental piece. Like it's not the most important piece, but it's a piece that's important to someone in that relationship. It's very important to them.
So my next question would be, how often would you analyze it, or would you how analyzing that particular part? Like, is that something you would do on a weekly basis, or you would only do when the partner bring the conversation to you, or like, how would you tell your clients to go back that?
Well, I tell them just go by the I guess I would say national average. So the average couple has sex at least 4 times a month on average. That's average, which is like at least once a week. That's average, right? So if you look at your sexual intimacy habit, right, and it's like I said, 7 days a week, 24 hours in a day, and if you're not at least having sex at least one a week with your partner, right, then you got some catching up to do per se, because it's like you don't. I'm just saying you don't want to get to a point where you fall below what would be average for any couple. And how you catch up with that is do it twice the next week. Okay, okay. do it twice the next week, right? Like you can catch up if you want to, right? Like if you really wanted to do. Hey, you better prioritize that on your lunch break. Like, you better go in it.
You have a marathon weekend.
You got the average in 2 days. You should be good.
Hey.
Josh, you got to watch that, because that's what a person would think. But the average person only have sex. The average couple only have sex four times in a month. So you got that in the weekend. So the rest of the month, you ain't got to touch me.
Hey, but think about that though. Like if you're really dwindling down that aspect of your relationship that much like that, that's it's more of a personal thing instead of a relational thing. Like instead of a relational thing, because from a relationship standpoint, somebody's gonna feel bothered by it. If you say if someone says a statement like that, somebody's gonna be bothered.
I'm just talking junk. I'm not sure if people say it or not, but who knows? People say everything these days. Yeah. They say some stuff, so yeah. I'm not telling them to say it. So do not get that twisted. I'm not telling you to do that.
Mm-hmm. That may not be the optimal idea to do for anybody.
No.
But I mean, it's just different because, like I said, there's so many very varying reasons why rejection happens. It is, and I think that we have uncovered a lot of them. I think we have uncovered a lot of them. But I really, I guess, want to know, because I know Nrgy stated some areas of how you can decrease the amount of time the person would be rejected, right? But is there more things that a person can do to like decrease the rejection rate, I guess, if you want to call it like that, the rejection rate when it comes to like sexual intimacy?
I think it's like, first of all, identify. First, I would say identify what's causing the rejection, right? So, and then come up with a plan, like Nrgy said, to promote something that's different, to try to get a different result. Now, going back to your point of medical issues causing them, then that's a whole totally different ball game. So it's like, and depending on your partner, because sometimes people could be they could feel embarrassed to go talk to their doctors about, man, I'm having issues in the sex area. You know what I mean? But you have to be comfortable with your partner to tell your partner that as well. And be supportive. Like if that's the case, then you supporting your partner differently in a different area. Like, I'll go to the doctor with you if you want me to. Or I can set up the appointment. Even if you don't want me to go to the doctor, I can set up the appointment. And so then we can understand how we're going to work differently with that. Because certain medications can cause a decrease in wanting to have sex. Yeah. But they also have a lot of different ways you could do it organically to get your sex drive back, if that's your case. You know what I'm saying? Or you could do a penile implant if you feel like you're too small. They have penile implants. They have even if with the woman, they have something called the ozone. They have different things medically that you can do to, make sure you and your partner is having sex in the medical area. Mm-hmm. But other areas, and of course, you got to identify first. What is it? Is it because we argue too much? Because honestly, if you arguing all the time, you don't want to be having sex with somebody you arguing with all the time. Y'all got an argument every day. Then you want me to turn around and bend over? No. And some people mind don't click like that. That's a turn off for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think one main thing you have to do to try to reduce it is identify what's going on.
Yeah. I think that's the greatest solution ever, right there, is to identify what the actual issue is, and then create, your 15-point plan to get it done and fix.
Because it's gonna work. Yep.
15 points.
I mean, you know how when you go to those auto places and stuff like that, they give you that 15-point inspection. They got
He ain't right.
I'll go get my oil change tomorrow too. That is something.
Hey, I know.
Make sure all them things checked off.
Hey, I know when they see you pull up in there, hey, get 15 point. 15 point right there.
And my complimentary car wash. Yep. I want it all.
But you know what's crazy? I'm the same way with my car.
See?
I'm the same way. I go to my same agent, all that. He be like, "There go Aphrodite." I be like, "Yup." Yup.
Yep.
Good.
I agree though, with what you were saying, Aphrodite, about like having to identify the problem. You were right there on the same path as where I was thinking. You know, one of the things that can help is do like a comparison of, okay, have you been rejected this or the amount of times that you all are being intimate with each other, has it changed? Was it always this way from the beginning? Or did it change? Okay, if it did, at what point? What happened? What within your lives changed? And then go from there to see where the breakdown happened, or to see at what point did things turn. So definitely looking backwards, going backwards to figure out, okay, things were fine up until this phase or period of our lives. So then just decide or look at, well, what changed? But what I would add to what you were saying, and to answer the question as well, Josh, is one of the things that can help reduce the amount of rejection is if couples keep check-in weekly. For me, that's something that's really important. Something that I advise people or suggest for people to do is to have that weekly check-in, because a lot of stuff can happen in a week, from just outside of the couple, the partnership, just with the individual person, even on their own separate jobs, if they work outside of the home, with their families, you just never know. And especially if kids are involved, things like that. So check in, have that, that date night or that conversation where y'all are sitting, at the coffee table with each other. You have snacks or you have your favorite beverage, whether, whatever it is. And then you just have that weekly check-in to see, hey, how's everything going this week? How did we perform as a couple this week? How did I perform as an individual this week? So therefore, nothing can, just kind of get pushed to the wayside if people are being open and honest. Nothing can just, kind of get pushed to the wayside to where, like you said, over time you look up and it's like, dang, well, how often did I reject a person? You won't get to that point. Do the work up front in advance, and then just have that become your norm. Just do a weekly check-in. Doesn't have to take long. It could literally be just a 30-minute conversation, but you make it enjoyable. Get a, what do they call it? A charcuterie board. Your favorite wine and cheese, or if you just prefer coffee and bagels, whatever the case is, put some music on and then have that conversation. But it starts there with a conversation and communicating with your partner.
Yeah, I would agree.
I agree to that.
Yeah. So to add to your point, Nrgy, I encourage people to have the how you feel conversation, right? And for most men, it's very helpful to have the how you feel conversation every day, right? So that means
every day?
Yeah, like when you talk on the phone to them and stuff like that.
Silly.
Like, what's wrong with that? Like, it's a good thing.
She's just being silly. Don't mind her.
Okay, she being funny. Okay, I'm trying to make a point. Dang it. Let me make my point. Then be funny. Dang it.
Okay.
You didn't laugh when she said charcuterie.
She was so serious, right? I was gonna ask her, what is a charcuterie board? But anyway, y'all go down slide.
I mean, I caught that.
That's how we do? That's how we do, Josh? That's how we do? Okay. See, we were doing good. All right.
I was listening to the game. I heard it all, okay?
I was gonna ask her what a charcuterie board, but she was so serious. She was like, with wine and the cheese. Why would I interrupt my friend? No.
See, when I try to be vulnerable with y'all, you see what happens?
No, she did. No, she did. No, she did.
It's wonderful.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we good. We ready, Josh. Go ahead.
I got it. So make sure you have the how you feel question every day. Like, how do you feel about us? How do you feel about your job? How do you feel in general? Like, how do you feel? And make sure when you have these conversations, make sure that the reply is more than one word answer. Okay, because a lot of people like to get away with these one word answers. How you feel? I feel sad. Like, it got to be more than that. Like, what do you mean? Why do you?
Because why it just can't be one word and that's just how they feeling. We was talking in the episode earlier, one of these episodes earlier about accepting a person feeling. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? I feel sad. That's just how they feeling. They might not want to go through all that other stuff. They feel sad. Sad can be sad is what it is. It's sad.
Yeah, I understand that. But part of having a conversation with your partner is learning ways to grow your relationship.
Okay, but that day they just felt sad, Josh.
That's fine, but every day you can't just be like, what word is it? Okay, I'm sorry, okay? Every day, don't give yourself that excuse to be like, I'm sad. Tuesday come around, I'm sad. Wednesday come around, I'm sad. Come on now. One of these days, you got to give me a little bit more than you just said, okay? Like,
I know, I'm just being sarcastic.
Yeah, it's just,
And I'm good about the one word conversation. I'm really good about it.
That's why one of your favorite words is "I'm good."
I'm good.
Yes.
Oh, that's my favorite. I'm like, I'm good.
I'm good.
What do you mean you good? I'm good. You good? I'm good.
Just have people just read between the lines, guys.
Figure it out.
Read between the lines. I'm good, but as they hear it,
you know what's so crazy? So crazy. Like, I have different variations of "I'm good," right? I be like, so you ain't catch that variation? That "I'm good" didn't mean that. What you talking about? What are you talking about? They be so damn confused. Like, Aphrodite is confusing.
Aphrodite, you are respectfully part of the problem when guys be like, I can't understand a woman. She says this, but then it means something else. How was I supposed to know? Aphrodite talking about, I have a different way of saying I'm good, and they all mean something different. How are we supposed to know?
So, if you know me, you know what my "I'm good" mean. You know when I'm being sarcastic, like, I'm good. You know I'm being sarcastic. Don't play with me. You know it. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm, my different tones.
You got to give me something else to compare it to. Give me at least two more. So I got the sarcastic one.
My sarcastic is, I'm good. And I be having a little net and everything with it. Like, I'm good. So it's like, damn, she really ain't good. She just being sarcastic. Right? Okay. Then, when my regular, I'm really good. Like, I'm like, no, I'm really good. Like, I'm good. Okay. Everything is fine or whatever. So that's that regular one. And that real sad one is, I'm good.
Whew. I understand men now. Oh, Lord. We make it hard.
I'm not good.
But wait. But I'm working on it because I realize that does make it hard. And I realize, like, everybody, if you really not good, stop saying that, because folks be on some other stuff. So I'm like, I'm good, but I'm really not good. But if they keep pressing the issue, I'm really not good. And I just start like popping off after that.
Okay. So before we go any further than what we going right now, because like I said, this is that other turn, right? Like
that's that turn.
We would let it's going right, okay? It ain't a good right.
Nrgy did it.
It's a bad right. Okay, there you go.
I was just asking the questions that other people were going to ask when they watch this back. That's it.
I know, okay? And we can get into that much later, okay? much later. But another great episode of Added Perspective with Josh, okay? I'm Josh, okay?
I'm good. I'm Coach Nrgy, okay?
And I'm really good. And I'm Aphrodite.
And we all good.